season, everything stopped.
The men's and women's tournaments have been canceled.
Then, everything changed.
Being black shouldn't determine if I live or die.
And along the way, college basketball found itself. From protest
no justice, no peace,
to podium.
You guys gathered today to tell your fellow student athletes that I'm here for you and with you.
This is powerful, guys.
To practice, the unity of a community emerged.
Let's go, 1, 2, 3, go.
Forged forward by the power of this game.
The best thing we can do is just come together.
And together, we might just change the world.
This is their return, a new beginning. Heed the call. United, we ball.
You're watching ESPN's Feast Week, presented by Lowe's. The day after Thanksgiving means leftovers and college hoops in Lubbock. We welcome you to the United Supermarkets Arena in the South Plains for Texas Tech and Sam Houston State. David Salzman, Lance Blanks, another retooled, revamped roster for the Red Raiders.
Well, it's old hat for Coach Beard. He's got an assortment of guys. He likes to start 4 perimeter guys and the big and Santos, but it's an equal opportunity and a difficult team to defend because of their freedom to score.
A big win for Texas Tech against Northwestern State on Wednesday, and Chris Beard tells us this may be his best shooting team he's had.
Well, by far, starting with McClung, who is a big-time scorer. They'll also have to prove that they can knock down shots with a level of consistency like Coach Beard expects. But they've got a lot to live up to given the success of late, and I'm sure with the team that Chris has assembled, they'll be getting it done.
You mentioned that he feels like he has multiple starters he can go to, but of course limited to 5. And you mentioned McClung, that's Mac McClung, the Georgetown transfer, who averaged 14 points a game for the Hoyas last season, and Marcus Santos Silva, the Big 12 preseason newcomer of the year, but also players coming back, including the man you see in Terrence Shannon, the sophomore from Chicago, Illinois, a member of the conference all-freshman team 1 year ago.
Well, yeah, he likes guys that can pass, shoot, and dribble the ball, guys that are more than just, let's call it a one-trick pony, if you will. And that's exactly what these guys can do. And he also likes to have all bases covered. And you heard him yesterday. He said, experience wins in this conference, stay old. And that's exactly what he's done, as well as having youth to bring up into form with this roster.
Without the transfers, then most of his roster, a huge percentage, would be just the sophomores and the freshmen. Well, what can you say about Chris Beard, National Coach of the Year, as he had the Red Raiders one game from a national title before falling to Virginia in overtime, now in his 5th season in Lubbock with 95 wins?
Well, and he likes to give up a lot of his success to the players he's brought in, as well as the coaching staff and all of their experience and what they've done. But the one common thread basically is Coach Beard. He's a guy who has taken this program to a new level, and sometimes when you do that, it's difficult to sustain that kind of success that you've had before, even taking a team to a Final Four and potentially a national title. But he's been able to do it, bringing in great talent and creating a level of continuity that Texas Tech has not seen in basketball.
Sam Houston State coming off a 30-point loss at SMU on Wednesday, despite a career-high 36 points from their junior guard in Zach Nuttall. Red Raiders with the ball first, and we're underway. Kyler Edwards up top, the leading returning scorer for the Red Raiders. Part of that experience coming back. Again, a good mix of guys back and those transfers you talked about, Lance.
Well, yeah, and that's a rare possession there by Edwards, trying to create something where it wasn't. And, you know, in talking to Coach Beard, he talked about trusting the process, and part of that process is sharing the ball. They do such a great job, too, of just keeping the floor open and giving guys driving lanes and opportunities to score from the perimeter.
Off the inbounds, Edwards off the mark from long range, and a foul as Micah Peavy goes over the back. Peavy, former teammate in high school of Jemias Ramsey, played here in Lubbock 1 year ago. Drafted recently by the Sacramento Kings in the 2nd round of the NBA draft. Sam Houston State just with 4 returning letter winners, including Nuttall. A lot of new talent getting used to playing at this level. And of course, at the top of college basketball here in Lubbock, with a team ranked in the top 15 in the nation.
Yeah, Nuttall had a career night against SMU with 36 points. They'll look to go to him, and he has pretty much a green light. He'll be one of the best conference players this season.
DeMarcus Lampley way off the mark from 3. Here's McClung, the Georgetown transfer. Surprised many by leaving Patrick Ewing's program and finding a home here in Lubbock. Santos Silva now with 10 on the shot clock. Edwards to the rim and draws the foul.
Yeah, and Edwards is one of their scoring anchors as he's matured, coming into his own as a ball player. But you mentioned McClung and being a transfer. You see, good job of keeping the defense on his back and drawing the foul. But again, McClung first tested the NBA waters and was possibly going to go into the NBA, and then went into the college portal, which to me, David, it's a little bit almost like the NBA in some ways the portal has turned into, because guys end up moving around the country, and I think he was the prize for college basketball in the portal, and Texas Tech did a great job and obviously attracted him to Lubbock.
Just about every program is trying to take in those Division I transfers, but Chris Beard was really one of the first to start that being a major focal point in building a team each season.
Yeah, and part of it is in line with his philosophy about staying old and mature, which gives him an opportunity to win basketball games, because it takes freshmen so long to mature.
Mandy Crump Jr. from Miami gets the Bearcats on the board. And a blocking foul.
Well, that's a big-time basket by Crump, using the rim to get that shot off, and any baskets they can get from others in terms of Nuttall not having all the pressure to score is huge for these Bearcats.
Dante Powers picks up the foul for Sam Houston State. McClung buries the jumper.
A great job coming off the screen by McClung. The release is so quick. This guy can really score the ball. You've got to stay attached to him as often as you can. He's going to be the #1 scorer for this team, or the guy that they're going to look to get shots up.
Nuttall's first shot way off the mark. A 4-2 Texas Tech lead. Red Raiders got out to a slow start Wednesday in their win over Northwestern State before pulling away late in the first half. Micah Peavy turns the ball over.
Well, yeah, and that game ended up being a blowout. And that's something I think Coach Beard has done a great job. I've watched him a lot in conference play and out of conference. They win games that they're supposed to win, and in that case, they won in the fashion they were supposed to win it.
A 101-58 win, all 5 starters in double figures.
Yeah, and McClung had 20 that game, and had a great start to his career at Texas Tech.
Crump shuffled his feet, got the ball away, and off the mark. McClung the rebound. No look, Santos Silva. Foul before the shot.
Can't emphasize it enough. Texas Tech does such a great job of keeping the floor open. After the screen, there's no one around the basket, so Santos just dives. Defense comes over late, draws the foul.
Second straight game that the Bearcats starting point guard Dante Powers has gotten in early foul trouble. He just picked up his second. Here's Jamarius Burton coming off the bench. What a luxury for Chris Beard. He set the Wichita State freshman record for assists 2 seasons ago and led the Shockers in assists the last 2 years.
And I'm not sure there's anyone better in college recruiting of bringing people in from other programs and retooling than Coach Beard.
McClung off the mark as he got inside Bryce Monroe. He's off the bench replacing Powers. Here's Nuttall, mentioned 36 in the loss to SMU Wednesday. Now 0 for 2 from the floor. Burton buries the long-range jumper.
Well, the Bearcats are going to have to figure out how to guard that high pick and roll. They spread the perimeter players and just bring Santos Silva right up top, and the guards play off of him.
Burton, one of the Red Raiders, Chris Beard's looking to hit that three ball. Jemias Ramsey, Davide Moretti were their best three-point shooters last year, no longer here. Here's McClung. McClung for three. 10-2, Red Raiders early. 5 in the early going for the Georgetown transfer, and an early timeout by the Bearcats and their head coach, Jason Hooten. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Phillips 66, proud sponsor of Big 12 basketball. And Geico, you could save even more by bundling home and car insurance. David Salzman lands blanks, an early 10-2 lead for Chris Beard and his Texas Tech Red Raiders. He told us earlier this week he really likes the balance that he's already seen from his team here leading into the beginning of game 2.
Well, it's just his recipe playing itself out in terms of balance. That's what he creates. And it's an equal opportunity for everyone on the perimeter. Again, to pass, shoot, or dribble the ball. It puts guys in positions to do what they do best.
Red Raiders 3 of 5 from the floor early, holding Sam Houston State to 1 of 6. They're a turnover.
And part of that doing best is a pressure defense. And Coach Hooten's, in his defense, this team is a little behind. They've had, let's call it COVID work stoppage, if you will, in terms of their continuity and being able to play together. So having to come out and play the second game of the season at Tech, that's a tall task for a team that isn't up to speed.
Bearcats are replacing most of their front court. You mentioned just the 4 returning letter winners for an 18-win team last year. Well, the season was canceled just before the Bearcats' first game in their conference tournament. Here's Bryce Monroe, a freshman from San Francisco, California, wearing number 0 for the Bearcats. High school player of the year for the city of San Francisco 1 year ago. And for Powers, who's on the bench in foul trouble. Tristan Ikpe, the tough shot, and Jason Hooten very high on his postman.
Yeah, and it's someone that he thinks will make a big impact in a different way than Nuttall because of his size and conference play.
Kyler Edwards gives the Red Raiders their third 3 in the early going. 5 for Edwards, 5 for McClung. Another turnover.
Yeah, that turnover was created because of the pressure and the ability that Texas Tech has to deny the ball. Whenever you're denied, you're taught to cut back door. You can't break that off, but that's a tough pass with all of that traffic. And Texas Tech does a great job of clogging the floor and denying passing lanes. Jason Hooten's gone to his third point guard, and Pierce Helms just saw him come in wearing number 13, redshirt freshman from Tomball, Texas, in the Houston area. Clung back on the floor. Look at the spacing. Texas Tech just does a great job of giving guys room to operate. Terrence Shannon Jr., 6 to shoot. Santos Silva the finish. His first 2. Very difficult to help off of people when you're guarding Texas Tech simply because they're so unselfish. Now 5 of 8 from the floor. Nuttall still off the board. Red Raider basketball. It's obvious the attention Chris Beard's defense has on number 10 in orange. Yeah, Nuttall, and they've accomplished clearly their first goal, which is to keep him quiet. You never want a guy like Nuttall to get going or build any confidence early in play. Santos Silva finds McClung. Peavy in the paint. Oh, nice rebound.
Jason Hooten thinks Tristan Ikpe could average double digits in boards, especially when conference play begins in January.
Yeah, that was pretty impressive.
They double Nuttall, another turnover. Number 3 already for Sam Houston State. And just 2 of 8 from the floor.
Well, he did what you're supposed to do. Whenever you drive baseline, you want to drift to the corner on the opposite side. But again, the Texas Tech pressure is so intense. You've got to be making pinpoint passes, and your execution has to be at the highest level. You want to get something done on the offensive end against Tech.
Red Raiders gave up 64 a game last year. 2 seasons ago, when they made it all the way to the title game, gave up under 60 a contest. And Chris Beard thinks that defense can get to that level as this season goes along. McClung's second 3 and 8 already in the early going. No slow start for Texas Tech this time around. Ikpe fouled.
Santos Silva, he's a little bit of the unsung hero early in this game. He's creating a lot of offense for these guards, including McClung. McClung clearly loves the big fella stepping out to set screens.
Santos Silva will guard the inbound. You saw Burton check back in. Tech without Kevin McCullough, out with a bum ankle, started the last 6 games last season. May have been their best player down the stretch. Ikpe misses from long range. Another 3 for McClung. They'll count it to 2, but already the junior from Gate City, Virginia in double figures, and another Sam Houston State timeout.
Well, McClung made Zach pay. He stepped up and tried to get the steal, and you do exactly what he did. You go look to score whenever the defensive man gets out of position. Wow, Texas Tech on fire.
Tuesday night on ESPN and the ESPN app, the 10th annual State Farm Champions Classic. Number 13 Michigan State and number 9 Duke are at 7:30 Eastern. That's at Cameron Indoor. And then number 6 Kansas, number 10 Kentucky at Bankers Life Fieldhouse in Indianapolis. 10 years already for that great event, featuring 4 of the best programs throughout college basketball.
Yeah, it's amazing how time flies.
Sam Houston State is looking to get things going. 2 of 8 from the floor. Down big early. Here's Pierce Helms, their number 3 point guard, and he's called for the travel. Another Bearcat turnover.
Yeah, for Pierce, there was simply nothing there for him to create. And what Texas Tech does a great job of doing is they make you play a lot faster than you want to. And that was emblematic of that with that last turnover. And contrarily, you don't see the same type of pressure that Texas Tech is applying on the other end, David.
Kyler Edwards, 5 in the early going. Mac McClung with 10. Edwards off the mark, but a foul.
Yeah, and I think Edwards is doing a little more forcing than typically what you see with the Texas Tech ball club.
So here's Namari Burnett. We talk about the transfers who are here in Lubbock. But the true freshman from Chicago, Illinois, the first McDonald's All-American in Tech history.
Oh, yeah, Coach Beard has just done an excellent job of getting guys from everywhere, including going into places like Chicago. He gets transferred. It's a smorgasbord in terms of places that he will go and bring to Lubbock to play basketball.
Nuttall trying to get things going. He has not had an easy look yet.
No, and he's starting to press a little bit. Certainly, he's made a mistake or 2 on the defensive end, but offensively, when you're getting shut down, especially after a career game like the last one, that can start to play in your mind a little bit. His teammates and staff have to help him get an easy basket, so maybe he can get a little bit of the nerves out.
Jason Hooten was telling us he was looking forward to seeing how Nuttall's teammates would respond, knowing the Tech defensive pressure was coming on Nuttall. It's a blocking foul. Tech fans thought should be a charge on Dylan Robertson. Instead, McClung picks up his first.
Yeah, and McClung didn't let the receiver to pass land there, you see, and he was just inside the charge line.
Dylan Robertson, junior transfer from Tuscaloosa, Alabama. After a year, Sam Houston State reloads with awfully good JUCO players, including this one, averaged a double-double at Shelton State Community College 1 season ago.
Yeah, and Coach Hooten, he talk about retooling your team. You mentioned that with Coach Beard. Coach Hooten's had to do the same thing, and he said it. I mean, he said he likes this team a lot, so he'll expect to compete in this once they get into conference play.
It's a gauntlet to begin the season. SMU 2 days ago, Texas Tech here. Take on a very good Boise State team in Fort Worth on Sunday. They're picked second in the Mountain West. That all now picked up by Shannon.
Right.
Burton on the switch.
Yeah, and these guys can switch because of the size. They're all run about anywhere from 6'3", 6'4", and they have similar level of athletic ability.
Another off-balance jumper by Nuttall. Bearcats now 2 of 11 from the floor. Hand check called on Helms. His first. Both these teams 18 wins 1 season ago. Texas Tech struggled before the season was canceled, lost their last 4 games in the regular season, albeit 2 to Baylor and Kansas, who were easily the top 2 teams in the Big 12 last year.
Yeah, and the season ended right as they were about to play Texas in conference play, which might have been a pivotal game for both teams in terms of seeding and potentially getting into the tournament.
Red Raiders definitely were expected to get into the tournament. Would have been their 3rd straight year in the NCAAs. Something this program's never done.
Yeah.
Bryce Monroe off the mark.
And something Coach Beard is extremely proud of.
With numbers, Burnett, the finish.
Texas Tech just pulling out the full arsenal, now playing fast, going from defense to offense. They've been able to shoot the ball from the perimeter as well as execute in the half court.
Jason Hooten just called his 3rd timeout, and obviously this game is already getting out of hand. He doesn't want it to get so out of hand even before halftime.
Boy, David, I hate to tell you, we might be already there, considering that he's on the road in Lubbock. But all for naught. I mean, these guys still need to come out and play, and all you can do is hope to get Nuttall involved, since he is your offensive anchor. Start trying to chip away as you approach the end of the half.
Hey, I'm overly optimistic. It's the Sam Houston State team that did hang around with SMU, tied with 6 minutes to go in the first half. Mustangs pulled away in the second half. The biggest thing that Jason Hooten lamented was giving up 28 fast break points to the Mustangs. Calls his 3rd timeout of the game already after giving up the fast break to Texas Tech. And there he is, 11th year as head coach of the Bearcats, 197 wins. They've been the most consistent program in the Southland for the last decade. Bearcats have won double-digit games in conference play 7 straight years.
Yeah, and I've called some of those conference championships, and you're right. They're always right there on the brink. In fact, they were in NIT a couple of years ago and lost to a pretty good TCU team in Fort Worth.
After the Bearcats won the regular season conference crown, but got upset in the semifinals of their conference tournament. Pressuring Edwards, and that leads to the turnover.
Well, how about the Bearcats mixing it up a little bit and giving Texas Tech some of their own medicine by pressuring the ball and double teaming? That's a skill set that not all guys, and particularly guards, have, of being able to handle that kind of pressure and make the right play and or pass.
Sam Houston State has been on 4 for quite a while. It's a foul called on the Bearcats.
Well, you got to get set with that screen, and these are, in spite of the score, David, these are critical minutes here because you got Nuttall on the bench, your best scorer.
I said Ikpe was not set on the screen. So right, Zach Nuttall on the bench. And Jolan Tomway gets his first touch wearing number 24 for the Red Raiders, UNLV transfer. Here's Tomway, 3 3-pointers on Wednesday, feeds Burton. Shen in the follow, and a 20-point Red Raider lead.
Multiple effort and pursuit by the entire Texas Tech roster.
I don't remember a shot yet for Sam Houston State that was not off balance.
Yeah, and or contested. I mean, nothing is being given easy.
Javion May, charge. It's Shannon drawing the charge.
Well, that's the next level of Texas Tech's defense. Is their help side is exceptional. We saw a similar play, but it was on a pass with McClung a few possessions ago. But this team is excellent with their defense and their help. Still hot, Raiders up by 20.
Sunday afternoon, 2 more college basketball matchups featuring 3 top 20 teams at 1 Eastern, noon Central. Richmond is in Lexington to take on number 10 Kentucky at Rupp Arena. And this is a good one, 5:30 Eastern, 4:30 in Lubbock, and Houston Cougars and Red Raiders. That's from Dickies Arena in Fort Worth. Both games also available live on the ESPN app.
Boy, that's going to be a fun one. I will be watching that one. The kid Grimes, Coach Sampson's done a great job with him transferred from Kansas, as well as guys like Mills. That's going to be a fun game.
Houston is picked to win the American, but they're without their best big man, Fabian White Jr. He's out for the season with the knee injury as Shannon puts the Red Raiders up 22. But each and every year, last year, it was a bit of a surprise that Houston won the American because of all the players they lost from 2 seasons ago. But Kelvin Sampson retooled that roster. They played even better defense in winning the American yet again.
Yeah, and a big part of that, I thought, was the kid Grimes, who had transferred from Kansas. He came in and seemed to find his way. And Coach Sampson, a little bit of a version of what Texas Tech has done so well, as you call it, in terms of retooling and getting guys from different places and building a nice roster.
DeMarcus Lampley ends the long drought. Makes it 26-6. Chris Beard and Kelvin Sampson, much respect for each other. They would play those preseason scrimmages before seasons would get started. Of course, that out the window this season due to COVID-19. That should be a lot of fun and physical on both ends of the floor when the Red Raiders and Cougars get together.
Well, both coaches play an aggressive style, particularly on the defensive end of the floor.
Bryce Monroe picks up the foul, his first. Kyler Edwards, 5 points in the early going for Texas Tech. Leading returning scorer in the Big 12 preseason honorable mention.
Yeah, I think with Ramsey leaving and Kyler being there now, his 3rd season, he's a guy that's looking to fill some of the shoes of guys like Culver that have come before him. Early here, he seemed to be pressing a little bit more than you would think is normal for a Texas Tech perimeter player because they're so good at sharing the ball and looking for open people. He's trying to create some of his own offense outside of what they do traditionally, which is a passing game where they really share the ball and then they do some high screen and rolling with the big Santos Silva.
Chris Beard said that his freshman year, Kyler Edwards might have been the quietest guy in the room. Now, one of the team's leaders.
Yeah, that's a tribute to Coach Beard and his ability to develop some of these guys that he brings in that are young and, you know, inexperienced, obviously, at this level. Coach Beard is coming along with quite the track record at the collegiate level.
Chris Beard's story remarkable. Just 7 seasons ago, he was coaching on the Division II level at Angelo State. 10 years ago, he was with the defunct American Basketball Association, the ABA, but from Angelo State, got his break in Little Rock. Just 1 season for that team to win a conference crown, and now here in Lubbock for his 5th year.
Yeah, and he's really grinded his way. Great roots. We've talked about Coach Priest, Terry Priest from Houston, or Woodlands McCullough, where he went to high school. One of his mentors actually passed here in the last few months. Rest in peace, Coach, but I know he had a great influence on Chris and his development.
Foul on the Bearcats on the rebound. That's Terriante Thomas picking up his first. Bearcats 3 of 17 from the floor. And Jamarius Burton will head to the line.
I mean, and that's no slap at Sam Houston. How about that? Just 3 field goals in the first half. Thus far, that's pretty impressive defense by Texas Tech, and done a great job of taking Nuttall out of the game. Nuttall, who is the best player, number 10 for Sam Houston State, and forcing other people to have to make plays.
We talked already, Lance, the luxury Chris Beard has. Santos Silva goes to the bench, but bringing off the bench for the 2nd straight game, a man like Jamarius Burton, been one of the better distributors in the American Conference last couple of years, led Wichita State in assists, and here gets to come off of the bench and provide a spark for the Red Raiders.
Oh yeah, and Coach Beard talked about it. He doesn't see him as a bench player because he thinks, in his words, he's got 7 starters, and I'm sure the players know that, and there's a level of confidence that comes with that. So he's got this roster really tooled to make a big-time run here in the Big 12.
Bearcats' best player, Zach Nuttall, back on the floor. They need some offense. Here's Nuttall. Well, another tough shot, but draws the foul. That's on Tyreek Smith. I think you mentioned it before. Maybe Nuttall pressing just to get involved, but able to draw the foul here.
Yeah, and there you see he's trying to get the shot off. I thought he should have gone ahead and try to draw some contact. Potential Smith to just block that shot and not get to the line. The free throw line can be your friend if you haven't scored, just to see the ball go through the basket, especially a guy like a Nuttall who can score the ball so well.
Jason Hooten says he thinks the man at the free throw line is the best player in the Southland. He's the only starter back from last season. You have all these new guys, and of course, practice delayed or halted. Sam Houston State had to stop practice twice due to COVID-19. Then you start the season with SMU and Texas Tech. That's a hard beginning to the year. Approaching 5 minutes remaining in the first half. It has been all Red Raiders from the outset. Peavy draws the foul.
One of the other assets is the floor that's spread, allows a guy like Peavy to attack the defense. Hard to help when a guy is spaced that far. Offensively, I really think that's one of Texas Tech's secret weapons to go along with their motion. They really spread the floor out and keep the defense on its heels.
Jemias Ramsey's high school teammate at Duncanville High School just south of Dallas a couple of years ago. And of course, Ramsey had to come here last season, really lead the team. He led them in scoring, their best offensive player. How much of a luxury is it, though, for a Micah Peavy to come in and not have to carry so much weight of the team on his shoulders, knowing the experience he has around?
Well, it's part of that process that Coach Beard talks about for all of these guys. And he can show examples, as he put it, with what happens as they mature. But as a young player, you don't have to carry the ball club, and you do what you do and you can grow. It's a huge luxury for a player's development.
Chris Beard thinks Micah Peavy can play all 5 positions. Nuttall still without a field goal. after he went 12 of 23 from the floor Wednesday at SMU. Miscommunication. I think Edwards thought Shannon would continue his cut to the hoop, and it's a turnover.
Yeah, and not the greatest pass either. Premeditated is what that was.
Blocking foul.
Oh, I thought defense there looked like it got set. But again, textbook defense by Texas Tech with help side.
Looked like Peavy was out of the restricted area and thought he drew the charge. Instead, picks up his second foul. Well, coming up at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific on ESPN. Now the rivalry rekindled. 15th ranked Oregon and Oregon State in Corvallis. Ducks 3-0 in the season. Oregon State, nice win last week over Cal. They are 1-2. Thanksgiving means lots of turkey today, day after Thanksgiving, lots of leftovers and plenty of college hoops and college football for you all. Bearcats within 20 as we approach 4 minutes to go in the first.
We talked about this with Coach Hoot. Would they stay in a man-to-man? He said he's probably played 10 zone possessions since he's been there. So regardless, he's going to keep it honest and try to play people straight up.
Terrence Shannon's third field goal. Now 6 in the first half for the sophomore. No foul on the contact. Good anticipation. That was Burnett knocking the pass away. And Tomway, his first two.
Texas Tech does a great job of applying pressure and turning that defense into offensive opportunity. What the heck?
Bryce Monroe will take that.
Monroe is like, hey, I'll pick up some of the slack.
Sam Houston State's first three. They're now 1 of 6 from beyond the arc, and a foul out high on Robertson. From the outset, Lance, we've talked about the depth this Texas Tech team has. Already 8 Red Raiders on the scoreboard. Terrence Shannon Jr. feeding Joel and Tomway for the Red Raiders' last 2. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Lowe's, home for the holidays. David Salzman, Lance Blanks, South Plains, Lubbock, Texas. And all Texas Tech from the start. Balanced scoring. Mac McClung got the Red Raiders off and running early with 10 points. Terrence Shannon about to go to the free throw line. Well, another loaded Big 12. These are the ESPN BPI preseason rankings. There are 7 teams in the top 35, including Texas Tech right at number 7.
Oh, yeah, I saw Texas play a couple of nights ago, and Shaka has them as good as they've ever been in terms of the players on their roster. Obviously, we're watching Texas Tech now with McClung coming in there. You got all the great guards at Baylor, so this conference will be deep and wide this year with talent. Hopefully, we'll get to see a full season of it.
I think Kansas will be okay despite Gonzaga shooting 64% from the floor yesterday in a 102-90 season opening win. You know, in those 7 teams, what we didn't see is Oklahoma State. Cade Cunningham, quite a debut. His first game in a Cowboy uniform Wednesday as the Cowboys knocked off Texas Arlington. He's one of the best freshmen in the nation.
Yeah, knocked off is right. He's a guy that will likely go high in the draft, especially if he can have the kind of season he's projected to have with his size and ability to run things on the perimeter.
Baylor seen as the favorite to win the Big 12 due to their experience back. Jared Butler, Big 12 preseason player of the year. Conference's top returning scorer at 16 points a game. Kansas lost Devon Dotson, Udoka Azubuike, but has a slew of talent back, including Marcus Garrett, who had 22 points in that loss to Gonzaga yesterday.
Well, yeah, it's still early, too. These rankings are, to me, they're just numbers at this point because behind those numbers are faces of people and players and teams and continuity and experience. So let's give it another month or so and see how things play out. And there will be a team or two also that emerges not only in the country but in the conference that potentially isn't on anybody's radar at this stage of the season.
Yeah, that's why I brought up Oklahoma State. I think they have a good chance to make their rise as the season goes along. Jamie Dixon has a solid team, it looks like on paper, in Fort Worth. They're number 69 of the BPI preseason rankings by ESPN.
Yeah, a lot of the early rankings really are what I call jersey and school and name rankings, and that's not any slap at anyone who thinks that they're accurate. It's just that these games have to be played, and also the conditions. This is a different season now. With you don't have fans, you've got to battle with COVID. You know, you have situations like Coach Hooten has experienced where you've got work stoppage. He's still coaching and teaching there. And so all of those factors, teams and players will have to overcome this season, unlike seasons past.
Marcus Santos Silva gives Texas Tech a 38-13 lead. Quiet 4 points, 4 rebounds so far for the grad transfer from VCU.
Quiet, but he's doing a lot of work setting screens. He's a garbage man who embraces his role, and right now he's clogging up things in the middle, making it difficult for driving lanes for the Bearcats.
Nuttall on the bench. Helms with 5 to shoot. Second chance and 2 points for the redshirt freshman.
Good job staying with it. Young fellas at home, that's called multiple effort play. Second effort is always a positive for a coach to see.
With the left hand, Santos Silva's second field goal.
Well, that just gives Texas Tech a whole new dimension when you've got a big that can score on the block. Not something they'll go through a lot. But if you can get Santos Silva to score like that, that's huge.
40-15 Tech. Just under 90 seconds to go in the first half. And the foul called after Manny Crump was able to wrestle away the rebound. This is where Jason Hooten was telling us how well could his team continue the effort even if they do get dominated as they have been in the first half. He called the 3 timeouts in the first half, I think, to continue to tell his team to try to continue the max effort. They've been a little better these last few minutes.
Yeah, it has, and he mentioned it in the last game against SMU, Coach Hooten, in terms of expecting just about anything. Being down 6 there late in the first half, and then ending up giving up. He didn't like giving up all of the fast break points. And contrarily, Coach Beard talked about really focusing on this team, the Bearcats, because of how much respect he's got for Coach Hooten.
Approaching a minute to go first half. 40-15 is the Texas Tech lead. Jumped out to a 24-4 edge. McClung, good anticipation in the steal. The finish and the foul.
That was a great steal by McClung, but offensive player has to do a better job of keeping him on his back. No one stops the ball. You let him get all the way to the rim, and bad things can happen.
I like what Chris Beard says about him. He says he thinks he's the best player on the court each night, and even McClung says, I'm fearless and not afraid of the big moment. I think it takes a lot of confidence to leave what was a good situation in Georgetown and try to challenge yourself even more coming to a new environment here in Lubbock.
Yeah, and there might be more to that than what meets the eye, given that he potentially was going to be a player that kept his name in the draft. But it's a great pickup for Texas Tech.
30 seconds remaining in the first half. 43-15 the Texas Tech lead. Ekpe off the mark, and with 23 seconds to go, Texas Tech can take the final shot of half number 1. This has gone according to script for Chris Beard and his Red Raiders. 56% shooting. Sam Houston State just over 20%. Now under 10 seconds to go in the first half. Kyler Edwards, Clarence Nadolny, and that'll do it for the first 20 minutes here in Lubbock. Sam Houston State was hoping for the upset. They defeated Texas Tech back in 2007, but from the outset, it's been obvious That's not to be all Texas Tech as Chris Beard sees his Red Raiders with a 43-15 lead at the half.
I'm not sure if it was the early start time or the tryptophan or what, but there was a surprise inside Mohegan Sun. San Francisco and Virginia. Coach, what happened to the Cavaliers?
Cavaliers gave up 13 threes. I didn't think they competed on the defensive end. I thought their ball screen defense really got exposed.
Didn't think they competed on the defensive end. That is a statement, Fawn.
That is a huge statement, and I agree with Seth because usually Virginia's really good at getting back in defensive transition and fanning out. I thought they did a horrible job in their transition defense today. San Francisco did a great job of playing ahead of that really good Virginia defense.
And yet a really good look at the end.
Great look right there. Good execution, especially this early in the season. But that 5-out offense, they got no post-ups and they got nothing at the rim.
San Francisco takes down number 4 Virginia 61-60. What a win for Todd Golden.
Congratulations. That was a sensational win. How about it?
It was a great win. A lot of credit to our guys. I thought they did an incredible job executing our game plan for 40 minutes. And that's what we talked about before the game, was finding a way to just be mentally and physically tough. Obviously, Virginia is a program that we aspire to be like. They're incredibly well coached, incredibly tough. And just really proud of the way our guys competed for 40 minutes.
And Todd, your big guys did such a good job throughout the game, Josh Coonan especially.
Yep.
They defended well, but your ability to spread the floor, what was your game plan as far as trying to spread the floor and get cutting lanes and be able to knock in three-point shots?
Yeah, well, I told you guys the other morning that when we played these guys today, we might take 53s. You know, it's one of those things where you kind of got let the game get up and down a little bit and take your chances, and really credit to Tavi and Josh Coonan. They made some huge shots in the second half, and Tavi hadn't shot the ball well to start the year, but he kept believing, and he shot the ball well in practice all fall. So for him to knock those 2 threes down late like he did, it's just a great moment for him, and I'm really proud of him.
What a win for San Francisco. There's a lot to unpack here. Coach, let's start with the Dons. What does that win mean for that program?
That's a program win. That's a resume win for Todd Golden, and it's a win for their league. I mean, you think about the WCC, what a great win. So right across the board, those 3 right there, bam, 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 huge win for San Francisco.
And for Virginia early in the season, Seth, some kinks in that defensive armor that they have to get resolved, and Kihei Clark can't make poor decisions at the end of the game.
They gave up 40 points in the second half. It's the first win for San Francisco against a top 5 team since 1981.
Bill Russell play that year?
What a win for the Dons. Meantime, other action from college basketball from Thanksgiving night. Arizona State, Villanova. Fonz, we got to look at the terrific young freshman Josh Christopher.
Oh, his ability to change speeds, change direction, and pull up in your face on a dime. I was impressed with his play last night.
Got to be impressed with Nova, Coach.
Absolutely impressed. Jeremiah Robinson Earl, he had 28. Jay Wright said that was the highest scoring game he's ever had in his career, including JV basketball. But they play with great spacing because of their ability to knock down the 3, and the pieces fit. They make plays for each other. Arizona State, they all tried to make plays for themselves.
83-74, Villanova the win. It appears, Coach, the Cats are who we thought they are. And, of course, as you said, Robinson Earl is a superstar.
He's a matchup nightmare. You put him in the high post, you have shooters on the wing. You got to stay home. He can drive you. He can shoot the 3. He can back you down. They can back down Justin Moore. They can back down Colin Gillespie. And because of their shot making and their post action, they all play off of that. They were terrific.
And Seth, Remy Martin, when you're playing against Arizona State, he's the head of the snake. I thought they did a terrific job of keeping size in his space, not allowing him to get easy opportunities in transition or the half court. I love the defensive game plan last night.
What was Arizona State doing in the half court offensively?
Chucking, taking bad shots, playing one-on-one.
Yeah, they got to find a way to move the ball and move people better.
It was a contrast in styles yesterday, and Villanova moves to 2-0 on the season. Speaking of 2-0 on the season, Gonzaga, after the terrific win against Kansas on Thanksgiving, Fonz, they just kind of picked up where they left off. Drew Timme at it again.
Well, he's so versatile. I mean, he's playing the center spot for them, and you can play him anywhere out there on the floor. He can shoot the 3. He's a terrific passer, can play with his back to the basket.
How about Corey Kispert?
They are so efficient. They play with tremendous speed and pace. They beat you in transition in the first 7 seconds of the clock, and then in the half court, they run such efficient offense. They can score in the paint, and Jalen Suggs can get the ball anywhere he wants it, anytime he wants it.
90-67, they beat an Auburn team that's not the team we've seen from the past couple of years. Through 2 games, they've scored 192 points, wow. Gonzaga has.
192 points, but how they're scoring them. They're so efficient offensively. They get a good shot every possession. Drew Timme, his footwork is terrific. He can work to the middle, obviously roll off the defender. You throw to him in a pick and pop, he's going to attack you from the elbow and get to the rim. And that Corey Kispert, he's got a middle game. He can finish at the rim. He shoots the 3. And what's up with these headbands? I think I'm going to come out to our next show and wear a headband because those guys are so good. And Jalen Suggs, he is an elite point guard. Sees over the defense, makes plays.
Meantime, Fonz, Kansas lost the game, but obviously they'll be a force to be reckoned with.
Oh, there's no question about it. They have terrific guard play in Marcus Garrett and Ochai Agbaji. They've got to get a little bit more from the center spot, and I'd like to see Christian Braun be a little more aggressive in hunting his shot.
16-game win streak for the Jayhawks comes to an end. It was the 3rd longest in Division I, but again, these Kansas Jayhawks will be a force in the Big 12 all season long. They lose in Fort Myers to Gonzaga. But much more basketball still to be played. We're just getting started, right? Seton Hall, Louisville, part of a big game on ESPN2 throughout the course of the afternoon. And then basketball from Sioux Falls all day long as we tip off a brand new season.
Big 12 basketball on ESPN. It's been all Texas Tech. Red Raiders wrecking the Bearcats in Lubbock today, a 43-15 halftime edge. Second half of action to come when we return. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Lowe's, home for the holidays. Welcome back to the South Plains United Supermarkets Arena in Lubbock, Texas. David Salzman, Lance Blanks, Mac McClung got the Red Raiders off and running early to a 43-15 halftime lead.
Well, it's no secret where Texas Tech would be going. I thought Sam Houston did a poor job of staying close to him in some early pick and rolls. Nuttall would try for the steal and let him get going early, which is not a good thing when you got a name like McClung and you feel like you're the best player on the floor.
Red Raiders 54% shooting. They held Sam Houston State to 5 of 24 from the floor, 21%, and that's just their second three-pointer of the day. Dante Powers has his first points of the afternoon.
Yeah, those are huge when you can get baskets from people other than Nuttall. Was 0 for 6 and the leading scorer and best player for Sam Houston State.
McClung, the only Red Raider in double figures, but many of his teammates close. Kyler Edwards gets fouled on the shot. Terrence Shannon had 8 points in the first half, and Edwards 7 points, including 4 of 4 from the stripe.
And this roster here for Texas Tech, they share the ball so well and don't have, let's say, a traditional point guard. They move through that motion offense. Passers, shooters, and dribblers. Allow the offense really to facilitate opportunities for different people.
They've had a number of good looks today through that motion offense. Kyler Edwards, one of the team's 4 threes. 32% from beyond the arc last season, and there's a few questions around this Texas Tech team. It was who's going to hit that three-pointer. Jamias Ramsey and Davide Moretti were their best three-point shooters last year. I mentioned Edwards just 32% from beyond the arc. They've been well today in that category, 4 of 9. It's a turnover, Texas Tech ball.
Yeah, and I mean, Coach Beard sees these guys on a daily basis, so I certainly can't challenge his position on how well this team will shoot or not. But they've got big shoes to fill, especially with Ramsey no longer being on the roster.
Chris Beard with the beard. This Red Raider team had to shut things down a few months back due to COVID-19. Challenge for them to mesh their 7 returners with these new transfers.
And something that Coach Beard does a great job with is role acceptance. Guys who come in here They know what's expected of them. It just makes the transition that much more easy coming into this program.
We even asked him that when we talked to him. We asked, how do you keep everyone happy? Because this is the deepest roster that he's probably had since his arrival in Lubbock. And he just said, you have to be honest and truth-telling in your recruiting so these players who come to Texas Tech know what to expect.
Yeah, and truth-telling means that you're not necessarily having to break promises when guys come in. You tell them exactly what minutes and opportunities will look like.
Santos Silva, the steal. Charging call. Terrence Shannon picks up the foul. That's Crump drawing the charge.
Well, I've seen a little bit of that even with Edwards early. Shannon knows as he hits his chest, there really wasn't anything there, and he tried to create offense. Good job by Crump moving the feet and getting right in the way to draw the charge.
When Sam Houston State's been really good in the Southland, it started with their defense. They'll need plays like that. Jason Hooten has to be happy to see Crump provide the charge. Also happy to see Zach Nuttall finally get his first field goal, this after a 36-point performance 2 days ago.
Well, let's keep an eye on that and see what happens here with Nuttall after getting his first field goal.
Ikpe the block, and it's Sam Houston State ball.
What a great block. Not fouling, coming over, help side.
His head coach, Jason Hooten, calls him, Ikpe, a breath of fresh air, says he will become a fan favorite when fans in Huntsville get to see him. Lampley left open. This is the first run of the game for Sam Houston State within 22.
Yeah, and that's the other place that they like to get offense from, Lampley. See a little bit more pop in their step, even on the defensive end. It's amazing what making shots and creating a little offense can do for your defense and confidence.
Crump picks up the foul and has to come out. Already 3 field goals in the second half for Jason Hooten's Bearcats after they had 5 in the first 20 minutes. Now Burton on the floor with the basketball. Shannon now in double figures. Terrence Shannon says he's worked hard on every part of his game in the offseason. That's the first thing Chris Beard brought up to us, how proud he is of his development since his arrival on campus a year ago.
Well, and one of the key components at Texas Tech, I mean, we saw it with Culver a couple of years ago. He ended up being a top pick in the draft, or one of the high first-round pick. Saw it with Ramsey.
Don't think the head coach of the Bearcats liked the shot selection. You know, people forget about Jared Culver. Of course, he was a lottery pick, but his freshman year, he was really the third guy. Keenan Evans and Zaire Smith were 1 and 2.
Yeah, and that's what I mean about guys getting better. I mean, you know, each year growing in this program.
Santos Silva. That's the second time he showed off that left hand in the paint.
Well, that's a huge bonus. Chris Beard does such a great job of bringing in guys and creating a roster where you have many elements and ways that you can go at people, both defensively and offensively.
Powers picks up the foul off the trap, and that's his third. Here's Santos Silva again.
You're not going to get any help there. Turns right over that right shoulder with the lefty.
Two players in double figures for the Red Raiders. Edwards with 9, Santos Silva with 8. Steal. Javion May got the shot blocked, but McDonald's All-American Namari Burnett picks up the foul.
Well, you're seeing a pattern of questionable decision-making by some of the guards for Texas Tech when they've got it up top. Really no play to be made there on the ball, but by that I mean we've seen some ill-advised drives. Saw the turnover there, and it's an example of this team not having a type of traditional point guard, if you will, that runs the offense.
Mostly ball, Brett Smith said, got a piece of the hand too. I guess you could say Jamarius Burton is the most traditional point guard that Texas Tech has.
Yeah, the most traditional, but they're interchangeable. Different guys can be in different places. Look, now you got Edwards here. He's running the point with the high screen and roll.
Edwards had 6 assists Wednesday in the win over Northwestern State.
McClung, they play off the ball a lot. He's almost like your 2 guard.
Edwards short on the 3. Nuttall got inside McClung, and McClung comes from behind to swat the ball away. 2-on-1. Burnett to Edwards. Santos Silva the follow. How about the athleticism of Mac McClung to recover and get the swat to begin that break?
Boy, just he gave up the drive and made up for it in fine fashion with the block.
Lampley off the mark, and the dunk by Nuttall. And whistles blow as Santos Silva looks to be hurt along the baseline.
Well, and that was created. Santos thought that he might have drawn a charge, but he took himself out of the play and ended up being a 5-on-4.
Well, you mentioned Sam Houston State, a little more pep in their step after being behind 28 at the break. And it's Mac McClung getting the swat. Well, Pat Mahomes knows that Big 12 Now on ESPN Plus is a must-have for Big 12 fans. Red Raider women's team takes on Houston Baptist tomorrow, 3 Eastern, 2 Central. The men on December 9th take on Abilene Christian, where Chris Beard used to be an assistant coach. Over 40 men's basketball games this season on Big 12 Now. Sign up today at ESPNplus.com/Big 12 Now. Looks like Marcus Santos Silva is okay. From our vantage point, might have been banged up on the Zach Nuttall slam, but you see the accolades for him already. Big 12 preseason newcomer of the year, and he has that respect because of what he did at VCU. Played almost 100 games, averaging just under 9 points a contest, but that's one of many things that he can do on the floor.
Well, especially with this Texas Tech ball club, they rely on him heavily to set a lot of screens, and traditionally he's been a little bit of a garbage man, but plays a little bit more of a bigger role than that here at Texas Tech. And he's a great complement to these perimeter guys for the Red Raiders.
Chris Beard says Santos Silva has thick enough skin to want the truth. Says he wants to be their best player and their leader. That's something you don't see a lot of from players wanting to be both. Namari Burnett, the McDonald's All-American, gets his first 3 in a Red Raider uniform. Lead up to 29, and a good cut by Nuttall, getting things going in the second half now.
And that's one of the places Nuttall excels, is his ability to move without the ball. Their teammate finds him on the cut to the basket.
He's 3 of 4 shooting this half after going 0 for 6 in half number 1.
This is going to be a high screen and roll. McClung calling for it.
Pulls up. Remains at 13 points. Red Raiders get another chance.
McClung there called for the screen and then didn't use it. He's got a lot of freedom to go create offense for himself.
It's 5 of 9 from the floor today, 2 of 3 from beyond the arc. Drives in on Helms. Nifty move.
Well, that's just a lot of will. An experienced player versus a freshman.
Just joining us, Bearcats have played even with the Red Raiders this half, but Texas Tech stormed out to a 24-4 lead. Again, Nuttall showing why he went for 36 Wednesday.
Well, we go back to him making his first field goal here in the second half. He's been a totally different player, David, since watching the ball go through on a regular possession.
Burnett off the mark, and a foul down low will be on Natomwe. This is where Jason Hooten wants to see his new team, by new, just 4 returning letter winners from last season, gain confidence against a top 15 foe. Gets a little easier for them Sunday, but Boise State is their 3rd straight tough opponent to begin the season, picked 2nd in the Mountain West. Those 2 teams will meet in Fort Worth, Texas Sunday before Texas Tech takes on Houston, 4:30 Central on ESPN2.
Yeah, and these games are like investments in the season in total for Coach Hooten and the Bearcats, simply because it'll prepare them for a very difficult and challenging Southland. They typically are in the upper half of that conference and often on the brink of either getting into the finals and having a chance in their conference tournament to get a bid to the tournament.
Now, they've been the most consistent Southland Conference team in terms of finishing in the top 4. But the one thing Jason Hooten has not done in his 11 years as head coach of the Bearcats, make the NCAAs. They have not won the conference tournament crown.
Yeah, that's one of those one-bid conferences that no matter how well you do, even if you win your conference, it's all about how you do in that tournament.
Santos Silva had it. McClung takes it, finishes while falling down, gives the flex as well.
I mentioned will a minute ago in terms of willpower. That's exactly what this young man did on that particular possession. This is just about desire here with this rebound in the right place.
I'm strong enough to put that up.
That's exactly right.
Texas Tech fans waited with bated breath to hear whether his waiver request would be approved by the NCAA. And it was just under a couple of months ago. He comes out 18 points on the afternoon. Red Raider team picked by the league's head coaches to finish 5th. That just tells you how good the top and even the middle of the Big 12 should be this season when you have a team ranked number 14 in the nation picked 5th, but you have Texas, West Virginia, Baylor, and Kansas just above them.
Well, yeah, all of the, and Baylor could be first team ranked 1. They were last year. Very good ball club. Most of their people back. Texas with everyone back. Texas Tech has established a floor for themselves that typically will put them in the top 4 or 5 teams regardless. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch the Big 12 this year, David.
Santos Silva got the strip, and then Avery Benson, the junior from Springdale, Arkansas, draws the foul. You saw Texas on Wednesday. I think people have been waiting for Texas to make that leap, and this seems to be the best chance for Shaka Smart in his time in Austin.
Well, it certainly did. The other night, Santos about to have a career night here, pulling out the full arsenal with the mid-range jump shot.
He's up to 12 points, 8 rebounds. Burton had the ball in his hands, but taken away by Helms. Nuttall, second chance, challenges Santos Silva, unable to get the bucket. Santos Silva had a double-double by early on in the second half Wednesday in the win over Northwestern State. He's a rebound away from his second double-double to begin the new campaign. Off the mark, off the double, and Helms picks up the basketball.
Yeah, and that was difficult because he turned over the left shoulder instead of the right and then tried to shoot with the left hand. Difficult play to make as a lefty.
Nuttall called for the push. After his miss, Shannon draws the foul. '96 season of Red Raider basketball on its way to starting 2-0. It's been all Texas Tech in the South Plains since the opening tip. Tuesday night on ESPN and the ESPN app, 10th annual State Farm Champions Classic. Two great ones. Number 13, Michigan State. Number 9, Duke. That's at 7:30 Eastern from Cameron Indoor. The number 6, Kansas, takes on number 10, Kentucky at Bankers Life Fieldhouse in Indianapolis. 10 years now for the State Farm Champions Classic, and every year we anticipate those two great matchups along the beginning of the basketball season. Oh boy, Buddy Holly is in the house. Born in Lubbock. Of course, one of the pioneers of early rock and roll. 61-29, Texas Tech as we approach the midway point of the second half. David Salzman, Lance Planks with you. Bryce Monroe called for the turnover.
Yeah, I saw a few pioneers in that arena earlier.
I think I caught Willie Nelson catching this game. I believe I saw John Denver, who attended Texas Tech.
You did.
Didn't get his degree, though. He decided to go to Los Angeles and try to pursue a musical career. Okay. I think he did okay.
I see you. Are you scheduled to be on Jeopardy anytime soon?
I just know it's coming. Burton for 3. Jamarius Burton, second 3.
Nice shot. You can't give him that much time just to measure that 3. Guys are too good.
After the Bearcats went bucket for bucket with the Red Raiders to begin the half. Another run for Texas Tech. This is their biggest lead.
Well, how about the intensity, in spite of the score, that Texas Tech is bringing on the defensive end?
Kind of goes with the theme of this team, according to Chris Beard. He has it down to one word, and he says uncomfortable, which just means you never want to get comfortable in a game or even as the season goes along when letdowns can occur and get upset, or in stretches of games allow the opponent to be successful on both ends of the floor.
Yeah, we talked about that. In fact, remember we mentioned being the hunted versus the hunter. And he does not feel like this program is the program with a target on his back, in spite of all of the success they've recently had.
Big cheer for Avery Benson, junior from Springdale, Arkansas, his first 2. Chibuzo Agbo also on the floor for the Red Raiders, wearing number 23. True freshman from San Diego, California. Chris Beard very high about. 37-point deficit for the Bearcats with 9 minutes to go. Nadolny will be called for going over the back. Javion May with position. It's the second of a 3-game stretch in 5 days for both these teams to begin the season. They'll both be in Fort Worth on Sunday. Texas Tech and Houston, great top 20 matchup, 4:30 Central Time. Tristan Ikpe with his second field goal.
Yeah, in these early games, I think these guys have been prepping for so long. David, you can't forget that, I mean, the season typically would have started 6-8 weeks ago, and to be this late and starting, these teams and these guys and coaches are extremely ready to play basketball.
It's Clarence Nadolny, the sophomore from France. We have seen every healthy body on the floor for Texas Tech today. Kevin McCullough unable to play for Chris Beard's squad due to a bum ankle. And Vladislav Golden with a hand injury, not expected to see the 7-1 freshman from Russia.
McClure, part of that 7 that could start from Coach Beard's perspective.
Good feed inside. Ikpe fouled. May with a nice pass.
Well, these are important minutes for both teams. There's a lot of work that still needs to get done as you prepare to get into conference play. But not only that, you can get critical minutes for guys who might not, in Tech's case, who might not necessarily get these kind of minutes in a typical game. So it's not a bad thing when you have this kind of league and you can get all your guys on the floor.
I of course, with a quick turnaround, just over 48 hours away from that Houston game in Fort Worth.
Yep. Get rest for other guys.
Tomway at 3 threes Wednesday in the win over Northwestern State, looking for his first today. Here comes Lampley. Ekpe spins into a double.
Yeah, help is what Texas Tech does so well defensively.
May couldn't get it to fall. Ekpe, he might have gotten his hand on the ball again, which leads to May going to the line, but that's an example of Tristan Ekpe's hustle around the rim, something Jason Hooten told us in our conversation with him earlier this week. He loves the junior transfer from Deer Park, Texas. All Texas Tech here today in Lubbock. David Salzman, Lance Blanks out at Supermarkets Arena in Lubbock, Texas. Red Raiders about to be 49-6 at home the last 3+ seasons. It's Feast Week presented by Lowe's, and Red Raiders have feasted on the Bearcats from the outset here.
Yeah, they jumped on them extremely quick. The transfer, McClung leading the way offensively.
Mac McClung, 18 points. One of 3 Red Raiders in double figures. Kyler Edwards has 9, Jamarius Burton with 8. Both these head coaches, very good friends, Chris Beard and Jason Hooten. They go back a ways. Beard was an assistant at Abilene Christian. It's a couple of hour drive from Lubbock. In fact, that was in 1996 when Jason Hooten was in the middle of an 11-year stretch as an assistant at Tarleton State. Both those schools Division II rivals at the time in the Lone Star Conference.
Yeah, and they go back. And not only that, just there's a ton of respect that they have for one another. So these two grew up in the ranks and see each other on the road, recruiting different players. And Coach Beard has done a great job of just really grinding his way from the bottom all the way to the top.
7 years ago, Chris Beard was a head coach at Angelo State. Got his break when he was able to make his way to Little Rock. Won a Sun Belt crown in his first and only year there. And after saying yes to UNLV, Texas Tech job became open. And what an institution Chris Beard became, really from the outset, and certainly now here in the South Plains.
Yeah, and he was even a manager at Texas on his way up and learning the game, and very close to Coach Tom Penders, who coached at Texas. He's touched just about every level of basketball on his way to Texas Tech.
Yeah, worked with Tom Penders, longtime assistant under Bob Knight here. Tristan Ekpe after his field goal a moment ago. Oh, the Euro step and the left hand shot to the rim. Second chance. He did everything but finish and then picks up the foul.
That's kind of emblematic of the day for the Bobcats. No one stepping up, stopping the ball, the right thing to do. Take it all the way to the basket. Just got to finish.
7 points, 6 boards, but 5 turnovers for Ekpe, and now his 4th foul. As Chibuzo Agbo will have free throws. Ask Chris Beard about this young man, true freshman from San Diego, California. He says as he progresses, people will start to talk about him, but a raw talent coming out of the West Coast.
It's amazing where Coach Beard is getting players. I mean, he's literally panning the globe, bringing players here to Lubbock.
For as well as previous coaches have done, Bob Knight had success here. To your point, no one has made Texas Tech a hot program nationally until Chris Beard came here. And you see Agbo from San Diego, Amari Burnett, first McDonald's All-American in Tech history. He's from Chicago. He's getting Texas players, but you see Mac McClung, who's from Virginia, played his first 2 years at Georgetown. This is a national program.
Yeah, it is. He's getting them basically from everywhere and at every category. I mean, high school and transfers and I mean, there's obviously nowhere that he feels, Coach Beard, that he can't go and compete for kids.
He has such a magnetic personality, and he handles social media as good as any coach. Has his fireside chats on the Texas Tech basketball Twitter account, which are always fun. Doesn't always talk about basketball. He'll talk about anything, especially the fast food joints he likes to go to here. 68-37, the Texas Tech lead. They led 24-4 early and have been in control. Here's Burnett with the basketball. Nadolny around the rim and out, but foul. Well, we do not expect Sunday's matchup to be one-sided with Texas Tech and Houston. Caleb Mills didn't play in the season opener, but the American Conference preseason player of the year, expected to play on Sunday against Texas Tech. He's the Cougars' best scorer. St. John's then will play here on Thursday, December the 3rd. And boy, it's not long from now, December 17th, Big 12 play begins. And how about that one? Red Raiders and Kansas.
Well, yeah, I want to back up to, you mentioned Caleb. I watched him play last year, and he is a joy to watch. You've got to find him early on the perimeter because he's as good as any that I've seen, definitely in the state, with all the great programs here that are competing this year to get in the tournament and have a fine season.
Good drive by Lampley. Houston's not going to need to score 75 to 80 points a game to have success. Kelvin Sampson, we talked about the culture here in Lubbock. Kelvin Sampson has that culture set in Houston. But if they can get the type of offense they had 2 seasons ago, when they were able to make it all the way to the Sweet 16, Kelvin Sampson may have one of his better teams in Houston. That's Tyreek Smith in his first field goal, redshirt freshman from Baton Rouge. Lampley well short. Natomwe the rebound. Approaching 5 minutes here in Lubbock. Red Raiders on their way to 2-0. I'll mention it again, 49-6 at home the last 3+ seasons with this win.
Well, just another thing you can put in Coach Beard's toolbox that he's done with this program in terms of kind of environment. And you keep mentioning the word culture, let's say the culture that he's established. I mean, he's mentioned it's about winning and sustaining that.
He's happy to have Tyreek Smith on the floor. Took a medical redshirt last season. Athletic freshman from Baton Rouge, 7 points and 4 rebounds in the win over Northwestern State 2 days ago. We asked Chris Beard, is this his most athletic team? I thought he was going to say yes right away, but he wasn't too sure. He was hesitant because he went back to the Zaire Smith team. Jarrett Culver really was the third cog behind Smith, and Keenan Evans said, I don't know if this team is as athletic as that, and that team made it all the way to the Elite Eight. But if it's not, it's close.
Yeah, but I gotta agree with Coach there. Zaire was the one who led the way with his athleticism. Just another level. A lot of most for this team, though, so they're going to have to play with a little bit of pressure on them. You know, the best shooting team, most athletic, potentially. Come in with all of those predetermined accolades, you still got to live up to them.
Isn't the beginning of the season the time to hype your team up?
Yeah,
everyone starts 0-0. Sky's the limit.
That's exactly right. That's why they play the game, though, to see if all of that is real.
Lampley draws the block on Benson. 4:29 remaining.
Yeah, Texas Tech, the one criticism I would have defensively, which is hard to do, I've seen a little bit of that today where they aren't picking up guys early in transition. You always want to try to stop the ball high.
By the way, I mentioned the matchup with Houston Sunday. Cougars up 15 on Boise State late in the first half. They routed Lamar in their season opener Wednesday. So as Boise State can pull off a comeback, Red Raiders and Cougars are going to go into that Sunday matchup 2-0. And again, that's at 5:30 Eastern, 4:30 Central on ESPN2, a really good one.
I love these early big games. They certainly get these teams ready for conference play here quickly.
Lampley up to 9 points. Zach Nuttall leads Sam Houston State with 12 following his 36-point performance in the loss at SMU on Wednesday night. 75-41 the Tech lead. Agbo able to get the tip, and Natomwe wanted to send that down from Amarillo.
Well, Natomwe showed how you attack the rim. And I don't know if he would even gotten there, but that is certainly the way you attack the basket.
Robertson preventing the dunk, leading to these free throws. So great that college basketball is back. Third day of the season. Still, when you look around and see the empty seats, just a reminder of the world we live in now. 25% capacity here at the United Supermarket Arena for Texas Tech basketball this year, as Nuttall turns the ball over. We're at the under 4. Texas Tech rolling to 2-0 to begin the campaign. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Phillips 66, a proud sponsor of Big 12 basketball. And Geico, you could save even more by bundling home and car insurance. Down the stretch, David Salzman, Lance Blanks. Texas Tech rolling up by 35 at the front. On the left, as you look at it, of the Texas Tech uniform, a little hard to see, but it's a patch of a rotten apple core. Kyler Edwards has been a leader on this Red Raider team, pushing for social justice, and that was his idea, a patch of a rotten apple core. You see it there. This was during warm-ups. Edwards says he pushed for this because he wants to get rid of all the bad apples in all walks of life, including those who contribute to police brutality, sexism, and racism. Of course, the NCAA has allowed teams to wear patches this season to support social justice issues.
Well, yeah, and it's something that's extremely important. America's still making its way to its promise, and it's good to see that college basketball is joining the charge towards that march.
Agbo hits the three. And here, echoing what you said, Wednesday was 6 months since George Floyd was killed, but doesn't make it any less significant versus when it was 6 days afterwards. We must continue the conversation when it comes to social and racial injustice in this country.
Yeah, George Floyd, and sadly many more names over this country's history, and hopefully one day we'll see this country come into its fullness.
79-41. This is Texas Tech's biggest lead after the Agbo three. Well, a undermanned opponent in Sam Houston State, no question, but you've been able to see this new edition of the Red Raiders for the first time. What's your initial impressions?
Picked up where they've left off. I mean, I see multiple position guys that can do what Coach talks about, Coach Beard, as in pass, dribble, and shoot. Santos Salvo, he'll be a great new level addition. I know he's been here, but it looks like he's taken his game even to another level. He's historically been a little bit of a garbage man, rebound the ball, set screens, etc. And now he's showing a little more offense to go with these perimeter players. And so they'll pick up where they left off. And McClung will fill some of the shoes that were left by Ramsey and Culver and other perimeter players who have made a huge impact, not only in this ball club, but through conference play.
12 Red Raiders have seen the floor. 11 have scored. Micah Peavy is the only Red Raider scoreless. Jemias Ramsey's old high school teammate. Mac McClung has paced the Red Raiders with 18 points today. Natomwe buries his second field goal. Now up to 5 points and 4 rebounds. You saw a moment ago the schedule for Sam Houston State. As the 3-ball falls for Lampley, Jason Hooten joked, I would have loved to have started with Dallas Christian and Arlington Baptist instead of SMU at Texas Tech. Trial by fire to begin this year.
Trial by fire and jumping right into the deep end.
Deep in the Lions' den. Nice shot. Bryce Monroe able to get that to go down. Freshman from San Francisco, California. And tried to get the strip from Nadolny. And although he wasn't able to get the basketball, drew the foul.
Well, you got to appreciate as a coach when guys are diving on the floor in a game with a score like this.
Monroe, the high school player of the year for the city of San Francisco. 20 points a game at Reardon High School last year. Backs up Dante Powers at the point guard spot. Yeah, Jason Hooten said, look, whether we're playing Texas Tech or Arlington Baptist, we're focused on January 2nd, the beginning of Southland Conference play. They'll be in Thibodaux, Louisiana to take on Nichols. And you see Nichols finish 4th, or picked to finish 4th rather, in the preseason poll. Bearcats 3rd. SFA Abilene Christian 1 and 2.
And as important as games are and you wanting to win them as a program and a coach, it is about preparing your team for conference play, because that turns into your seeding in your conference tournament, which is where the opportunity is to get into the big dance, which is what it's all about in college basketball.
If we get there, the Big 12 tournament, of course, is just going to be fantastic with the depth the conference has and the high quality of play, even from the first round of that tournament. It's going to be tremendous basketball. But you've seen it. You've called Southland title games. There's nothing like a conference tournament in a one-bid league. The pressure on those teams to continue their season is immense.
Yeah, every possession matters, every shot, every play. And, you know, it's got to be self-defeating if you win the conference and then don't win your conference tournament, because on a one-bid lead, you just don't get in.
You know, they're picked to finish 5th in the Big 12 by the league's head coaches, but wouldn't be surprised if they're a 4-seed or better, this Texas Tech squad. The teams above them, Kansas, West Virginia, Baylor, and Texas, on a vaunted top 4. And charging call. Tomway draws the charge, foul on Monroe. I'm curious to see, most of all, between the teams picked along the bottom of the Big 12, Oklahoma State, we talked about it a bit in the first half, how much can Cade Cunningham, one of the best freshmen in the nation, carry the Cowboys to a level that they haven't been at since Brad Underwood left for Illinois?
Well, I think certainly he can raise the level there, and you never know, but that's a lot to put on a freshman with a conference like the Big 12, where you've got teams like a Baylor team that is mature, been ranked #1, Kansas, Texas, bringing everyone back. I mean, yeah, can he raise the level? Sure, but carry a team to vie and compete for a championship? I don't see it.
Final 82 seconds from the South Plains Feast Week presented by Lowe's. All Texas Tech, a 32-point lead, 51% shooting for the Red Raiders, 41% from beyond the arc, and they've held the Bearcats to 30% shooting this afternoon. They were up 24-4 and have not looked back. Red Raiders on their way to 2-0 with Houston to come Sunday.
How about the Bobcats coming out with the pressure down 32?
Agbo and Manny Crump got his hand on the basketball. Under a minute left now. Nuttall to the rim.
And that's the area I talked about where Texas Tech isn't really picking up high with ball handlers, particularly a guy like Nadal. Let him walk into the teeth of the defense that low. He's going to be able to create opportunities for himself.
2 free throws coming for Burnett. Well, here's the scary part for Chris Beard's team, right? He has the transfers who have looked locked in the first 2 games of the year. Now you have ESPN's 5-star recruit, and mentioned already, first McDonald's All-American in Tech history, Namari Burnett, who can improve his game as the season's gone along, and perhaps by the time we hit January, February, he could be a big factor as well.
Well, yeah, and you mentioned Cunningham example with pressure and being able to carry ball clubs, and that's the one thing I think, one of the many things I think Coach Beard has done a great job of is giving these guys room and space to grow slow, if you will, or grow at their own pace in terms of development.
Willie's in the house.
Yeah, yes he is. Thought Willie hung around in Austin.
Well, he's a Texas legend.
Okay, fair enough.
He's welcome here. I don't know how many Austin people are get a warm welcome in Lubbock, but Willie certainly does.
Well, exactly. There you go.
Of course, both these teams on the road again Sunday in Fort Worth. Sorry, I had to get that in.
Yeah, you got it in, and they can be nice up in Lubbock.
Well, they love their basketball, and the fans able to attend this one enjoyed what they saw from the outset. Chris Beard, Jason Hooten will meet at center court, longtime friends. But it's Beard's Red Raiders rolling to an 84-52 win over Sam Houston State. For Lance Blanks, I'm David Salzman saying so long from Lubbock. Where again the final score, Texas Tech 84, Sam Houston State 52. All games airing on the ESPN networks are streaming live and archived on the ESPN app. This has been a presentation of ESPN.
ESPN